My partner for RoboCop was Sally Dennison, who was long since retired. We got the script through Jon Davison, the producer, and at one time my former husband, Jonathan Kaplan, was set to direct it, so it had been floating around. It was almost an instant in, and we were so passionate about the project, so that's how we got the job. Because I knew who Paul Verhoeven was, and those of us who knew what a brilliant director he was from his Dutch films, I knew he would have an interesting take on it. Jon Davison hired A-list people in every department and turned it a B movie, which could have been a rollicking, fun, good B movie, there's nothing wrong with that, into what I think is an A movie by the artistry of everyone involved. Paul was pretty charming because he didn't quite know all the American actors yet. It was fun. It was like a private club introducing actors to him because the agents, the managers, the actors who heard about the project through Breakdown and when we started to bring the actors in or come up with our lists, either they knew him or they didn't. Whenever you're involved with casting, you're at the beginning of the project and feelings are high and it's all positive and emotions are great and it's a party in the office. The writer's hearing their words for the first time, the producer and director's hearing it. So it's like throwing a dinner party and trying to get the right personalities and the right people. And because there was some violence, you wanted nice people. We knew we were going to need someone of a certain type physically, and this was before the suit had started being made. So we knew we needed an actor of a certain age. You know, any man, any actor of, you know, from late 20s to mid 30s that was hot at the time or right, or that we knew just to be a good actor. We didn't necessarily need a name, for example, which was great. And I don't know if that was Orion or Davison or who made that decision, but we didn't necessarily need a name, although we looked at names. And then Peter Weller, you know, we've always loved and always loved him as an actor. He's a very cerebral actor, and I think that he was really interested in exploring Robo's soul and the humanity, and he brought the gravitas as opposed to, you know, someone who was just going to come in and say, oh, I'm stuck behind this mask for the whole movie, who cares? Meeting Peter Weller and looking at those cheekbones, beyond the fact that he's a brilliant actor, we were hooked. Nancy Allen was a sweetheart. You know, we had known her from from Carrie, you know, the De Palma movies, the terrific actress. And my partner, Sally Dennison, knew her. And Nancy just loved it from the get-go. Paul and her clicked right away. They just clicked on a filmmaking level. When we were casting for the villains specifically, we wanted a group of complete, unique individuals that would form this odd ragtag group. Paul McCrane loved the idea of the special effects, you know, his face melting, and Jesse Goins was one of our guys who did the hyena laugh. And again, talk about line reading. Paul made him do that. So I don't know how Jesse felt about that, but that's something you remember from the movie, is his hyena laughing. Ray Weiss was one of our stable of character actors that we loved, that wanted to try a part that was a little different maybe from what he was known for.
But at Security Concepts, we believe an efficient police force is only part of the solution.
Ronny Cox was always thought of as this nice, gentle, you know, white-collar type, and he relished playing, you know, his part. Miguel Ferrer was just part of our stable of actors who came in a lot that we kept trying to get roles for. Miguel used to come into our office and bring his cousin, who was sleeping in his living room, who had just come from the Midwest somewhere, who wanted to make it as an actor. And that's how we met George Clooney. And Miguel Ferrer, every time, because they're cousins, and every time Miguel would come, George would tag along, and so that was always fun. Kurtwood Smith, just a wonderful LA theater actor that we knew around town. Nice man, nice as could be, who relished playing against type. And that's the thing, we were looking, when we were casting RoboCop, we were looking for great character actors who would elevate the material and really bring something to the party. So from the casting, the acting, the production design, the direction, the script, everything was just elevated. And I think that's what made RoboCop the art movie that it is. And I will call it an art movie. Dan O'Herlihy, I have been a fan of since I can remember going to movies. There's something about Dan O'Herlihy's presence when he walks into a room that he brings this weight and this gravitas and this it magic with him that just in the room at the Washington studios in Culver City reading for RoboCop, to have this man come in and say these, and even audition, to be perfectly honest, for us, was just wonderful.
All Detroit has a cancer. The cancer is crime, and it must be cut out before we employ the 2 million workers that will breathe life into this city again.
We went to New York, actually, and looked for a lot of New York theater actors also. I remember John Getz, I think, who was in The Fly, who was lovely. Harvey Keitel, who was doing Hurly Burly at the time, came in for, just name a New York actor, and we were seeing them back then. So we traveled there. I also traveled to Dallas to work on the casting there, some of the locals. There was a lot of casting in Dallas, and we had a terrific local casting director, but there was so much, and there was so much money in the budget for me to go, and I enjoyed that. And I can remember driving around in this, I was young, I was in my mid-20s, and they rented a big old Lincoln Town Car, and I was driving around with Paul and Arnie Schmidt and Davison and 2 or 3 other people. I was driving in Dallas in the rain on Stemmons Highway. What were they thinking? Casting RoboCop, I made lifelong friends. It was one of the highlights of my casting career. It's a movie that I love. It's a movie that has stuck with me. When I view it now, okay, it still seems fresh. It's not dated at all to me. And I have fond memories of every single actor, every scene in that movie. And I thoroughly enjoyed casting it.